Yes, you're watching the South Australian Sports Show. Probably time to turn our attention to beach volleyball, one of the Olympic sports, and I know it's been one of your favourites when you've gone and watched the Olympics. A superstar.
Do I have to say any more? Why would you love to watch beach volleyball?
Britt Kendall's been good enough to come in. Britt, how are you?
Good, thanhanks. Thanks for having me.
Just be careful. You sit next to Poppy. He gets attracted to girls in yellow,
in my mid-20s,
black, green, blue, or any other colour. Doesn't really matter. But in saying that, let's talk about you, Britt. How'd you get started into volleyball?
I started attending Brighton Secondary School, which is a volleyball-based school. Yeah, so I started indoor in year 8, and I played 3 years of that, and then I was picked up through a talent identification program at SASI, the South Australian Sports Institute. And once you get in that program, it's 6 months of indoor and 6 months of beach. That was my first kind of intro to beach volleyball.
Okay.
And I kind of found it was more suited to my athletic abilities. Beach volleyball was, so I kind of stuck with that one and the pathway of that.
Is that the normal process? You start off in indoor and then find yourself going towards beach?
Yeah.
And what is the attraction of beach? It's the natural out in the sun?
Outdoors,
yeah. Cool. Okay, fair enough.
Definitely
then because of that, I would have thought that beach volleyball was the one that got people in, but it's...
Yeah, for some reason...
But you need to find your foundation of the sport indoors.
It is easier to gain your skills in indoor for the start, but yeah, it seems to be more popular when you're younger.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
The transition from indoor to beach, now going from the wooden floors to the sand, how long does it before you go, I've made the wrong choice, or okay, my fitness level's jumped up, I'm okay now?
Usually people don't like beach volleyball when they first start for that reason, but like after you go through 3 weeks, you're fine, you're moving and it's all good, yeah.
Most people look at the beach volleyballs and they're all in terrific shape because they're active all the time, but it's not a case of just going to the beach and playing volleyball, is it? There's a lot more preparation to it.
No, yeah, we do a lot of conditioning and that kind of work to build up those skills and like under pressure situations.
So, but if I look at you, you're not always volleyballers traditionally indoor beach is all about height. You know that the ability to cover the net, especially when you've only got 2 on a team. There's nothing on you.
Definitely not the tallest one, and my role predominantly so far has been the blocker role, the one at the net, which is generally the taller player, but. So far, my athletic ability and my
vertical
jump,
leaps
has kept me playing at that level. So
speed, you'd be pretty quick.
Yeah, they're my two things. My jump.
See, then again, Smythe represented the country 396 times off the top of my head. But I was always surprised because when I saw Smythe on TV, he looked like he was a midget. Let's be honest. But when I met him, he's got a little bit of height about him. He'd be what would you?
Just under 6'1".
Just under 6'1".
Yep.
Which is very small, but it's not all about height all the time. There's other attributes that you really need to work on. But it's truly in basketball and in beach volleyball, it's probably rare.
Britt touched on it. She's got great speed and she's got good elevation. Yeah. So they're two things that allow her to negate her height. If she didn't have the elevation, I'd imagine you'd be in a fair bit of trouble.
I'd be in a bit of trouble, yeah.
Right, let's talk about some of your travels because you're just about, you're into seniors now. You've turned 20.
Yep.
Before that, you've travelled the world a bit as a junior.
Yep.
Which was the favourite place that you went to?
I really did like Copenhagen. Yeah.
As a place to play volleyball?
We did like a training camp and played there.
Yeah,
I played quite a few places. Cyprus and Portugal were also good, but I did really like Copenhagen. We just got on our bikes and rode around to the training courts, and it was a really awesome place to be based.
Yeah. I had the privilege of going to the 2004 Olympics. I couldn't go in 2000 in Sydney, but I went...
You were injured in 2000?
No. But I went as a spectator to watch the beach volleyball because you could get access to tickets. But what I loved about it was the way the crowd gets into it like no other crowd at no other sport, and the music that comes with it. And you're in this as a player, man, it must be so exhilarating.
It's so big overseas and everyone really gets around it. Like all the other countries, they'll cheer and they'll back themselves in for the entire game, singing. They absolutely love it.
In saying that though, Britt, you've got to adjust from not so big a support base here in Australia to suddenly if you go to Brazil, for example, let's pick them because I know the trumpets are playing, the band's playing, it's a full house of 30,000 people. How did you find that the first time?
My first experience was in China for the Youth Olympics with a full grandstand, and I remember just freaking out, like looking up, and I was like really, really overwhelmed. But the more you play, the more you get used to it. And
all right, let's talk about you getting used to it now because you've got to go into the seniors. You said you're about to go on a 7-week trip overseas, base yourself in Holland. Part of the 7-week journey is to get points, so you get elevated into tournaments.
So our points last 365 days, so you've got to keep playing and keep building your points to get into bigger events. So I'll be travelling on the 4th of June with Bakara Palmer, who is a 2012 London Olympian, and we'll go together and tour around.
Have you trained much with her leading into this?
Yeah, so when I was a junior, I got a few opportunities to train with Beck. Now I've just moved into the seniors. We'll be doing training and stuff, and this will be our first big tour together. So,
well, given her experience, does she pick you? Do you pick her? Does an independent person say you complement each other? How does it work?
It's got to come from the athletes as well as the coaches. Coaches will always help and guide that direction, but when you go on tour for 7 weeks, you're living with them, so like you really got to get on. And
personalities have to suit, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. In saying that, you base yourself in Holland, and then you've got to jet in and out, in and out. How many countries do you think you'll get to in that 7-week period?
Our planning is on Thursday, but there'll be quite a few. I think we spend a lot of our time in Germany because the German tour is really big over there. Swiss tour is also really big, so they'll be our main two, but there'll be quite a few other places.
So it's the summer now too, isn't it? The European summer,
Yeah, European summer, yeah.
So is the obvious goal 2020? I mean, is that the obvious goal?
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
Everyone's goal.
Yeah, okay. And so from a selection process point of view, how do you make that Australian team? Because I'd say there's how many pairs that you're competing against?
Yeah,
is it based on the points accumulated?
Yeah, and performance results is really how well you can do and who does the best on the international stage.
Yeah, okay.
Have you got an idea how that's tracking for you, Britt? When you look 3 years ahead, can you say, I've just got to come over that person, and then I'm a really good chance?
Definitely pre-planning. Like that's what you've got to do if you want to make it. Right now, I've only just moved into the seniors, so at the bottom, but there's only up from there. So.
But in saying that, you've obviously been picked by a former Olympian, a current Olympian, that says you've got some talent, because she's not going to pick a dud, because if she gets a dud, she can't go through. So
it's a bit like Phil picking me to co-host. He's not going to pick a dud. I mean, he sees the potential.
Oh yeah,
it's a long way off too, Britt. Let me tell you, your chances in 3 years are better than mine. Britt, thanks for coming in. Honestly, we'll look forward to talking to you when you come back. Hopefully we can get you in again and find out how it went, find out what your point ranking is, and we can explain that to all the viewers.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Good luck. Stay with us. Still plenty to come on the show.